Hi, Mike Delisio from Solo Mode Games. Today, I'm going to start a series of videos on this sprawling adventure game, Escape from 100 Million BC, from publisher IDW Games and designer Kevin Wilson. In this game, you are playing a team of time-traveling adventurers who have gone on a expedition and unfortunately crashed into the lip of a volcano. Your ship has scattered into pieces, your time machine is scattered into pieces, and you've got to retrieve pieces of the time machine, pieces of equipment, so that you can bring them back and the professor can put the time machine together again. Unfortunately, being in the past is causing all kinds of paradoxes and continuum issues, and so you have to do all of these things, get the pieces of the time machine put back together in such a way that you're not causing too much of an issue in the space-time continuum. This is a big, sprawling adventure game, and as such, I'm not going to do a session in one complete video. I'm going to break it up into a series of videos. I'm not sure yet. It depends on how long the game goes. But I think you'll get a pretty good idea on how the game plays just off of this very first introduction video. So let's head on over to the table and see if we can try our luck in putting together this machine that has broken asunder. Okay, here we have the solo setup for Escape from 100 Million BC, time travel theme adventure game. As you can maybe get a sense from the screen here, this is a pretty expansive board. This is a very large game board. This is the main game board where you're going to be doing your adventuring. You've got kind of a time machine board over here that's going to have the different terrain tiles corresponding to the different types of terrain. You've got jungle and mountains and swamp and plains and water. The time machine parts that you are trying to collect to win the game are going to go here. You've got a difficulty track and an emergency recall track. The difficulty, I'm playing on the easiest level, which is still called thrilling. This corresponds to the number of time machine parts, which are indicated by these little gear chits. This is a time machine part, which I'm hoping to find out there on the game board. If I can get 6 time machine parts, get both adventurers back to the volcano space where they're starting from, and fulfill a couple of other requirements, then I will win the game. I will lose the game by this paradox marker. This track along the left and top part of the board is known as the paradox tracker. This is a little paradox marker. If this ever gets to the volcano space, I have lost the game. All right, I'm starting on 1 paradox at the very bottom because I'm playing with 2 heroes. In the solo mode, you can play with at least 2 up to 6. And let me explain to you how much I'm not going to try to control 6 different characters. There's a fair amount going on in this game, and I think I'll be fine just trying to control these 2. I will quickly talk about these characters that were chosen. I'm playing with the soldier, okay, and the soldier, their special ability is combat trained. When they're making a brawn check during combat, this character can spend a will token to reroll all of her dice. And in addition, she causes 1 less paradox than normal when she uses the emergency recall, which is corresponding to this. This is basically a get back to the volcano quickly type of a situation. It happens when you're knocked out. It also could happen if you choose to do it. Her starting stats are here. This is her brawn. She's got 5 brawn, which is good. She's got 2 will, 3 speed, and 4 health. The speed corresponds to the number of movements you can take on your turn. So I'm going to start the game by placing 2 will tokens on her board, which are these tokens right here. So I'm going to place those on her board. I'm also going to be playing with the paleontologist. Her ability is she adds +1 to any passive checks made when she encounters a creature. I'll explain that as it comes. Most of this game I'm going to explain as it comes. I'm not going to try to do a heavy rules explanation at the beginning because there's a lot going on. If she encounters a creature without the passive ability, she can still roll a die, and if she rolls a 6, she's able to basically discard that card and not have to deal with the creature. In addition, when she's making any skill checks against a creature, when she spends a will token, she gets 2 extra dice, and that is a bonus because normally, and with the soldier, for example, if I ever want to try to add die to a skill check, maybe that I have failed or not passing, I spend a will token and I get a reroll 1 die. Dr. Catherine Baker here, oops, there we go. If she spends a will token, she can roll 2, which is great. She's got a starting 3 brawn, 4 will, so I'll place that many tokens on her board, 3 speed, just like our soldier, and 3 health, which basically this is the amount of time she can be injured before she gets knocked out. Okay, we've got starting cards here that we'll explain, and you'll kind of see how things go as we progress. Each character got random 2 pieces of equipment, and then I removed a number of equipment cards from the game corresponding to 2 players because that's a limited deck. Really quickly, we'll look at the cards that our soldier has. She got a Nano Factory. You can activate this by paying a will token. If you're on a water space, discard 3 other equipment cards to roll a die. If you roll a 1 or 2, you discard it. If you get 3 to 6, you get a time machine part. That's great. She's got a machine gun, which is good because she's a kind of the brawny character. I'll put 3 ammo tokens on there, which basically means that I've got 3 activations of this card. It's got a repel ability, which I'll explain when it comes up. It gives me +2 to brawn during combat. That's her 2 starting cards. Our paleontologist ended up with, looks like some hiking boots, which actually this is good. This will give her an extra point of movement at the start of her turn. So instead of 3 speed, basically, she'll have 4 speed while she's got these. And some tasty snack cakes, which, as they say here, are useless but delicious. They're not quite useless because this at the bottom is what's called the paradox marker, and these would count against me if they were left at the end of the game. If I get to that point, I'll explain it. Okay, so we've got those going. The one thing I need to do before I get started, basically a round is going to be pretty simple in structure. Each of my characters are going to take their turn. Then there's going to be a paradox turn where things could and probably will happen on the board. And then we'll rinse and repeat until I either lose or find 6 pieces of the time machine, get back. All right, so the first thing we have to do is we have to open up a time rift, okay? The time rift spots are here on the board, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And these are places of instability where people can, or things can show up that coming from other areas. I'm going to give you a little bit of a heads up. I'm going to be moving the camera here for a second. Let's do that so you can maybe see the board a little bit. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these face down rift tokens. They're kind of on the edge of the camera. I'm just going to pick one. It's space 3, time rift 3. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I go to this deck and we see who's coming out. Well, coming out of rift 3 is a woolly mammoth. Okay, he's treated as an herbivorous creature rather than a time castaway, although he can enter a rift like a castaway. So what we have to do, this is a big nasty brute. It takes 6 to defeat him. He's got a speed of 5, so he's fast. And this tells us where he's going to be placed. Basically, he's going to be placed 2 spaces to the upper right from that time rift as his starting location. Place him on the leftmost spot of the activity board, activity track, I should say. And so he came out of 3. So I'm going to take a standee for 3, find the corresponding little marker here, which is right there. Place that on his card. So our woolly mammoth is right here, 2 spaces to the upper right from that rift. That's where he starts. Okay, and now we begin. All right, soldier is our first player. She's got 3 movement points. So the first thing she's going to do is she's going to explore. When you explore, basically you choose a space 1 away from you, adjacent, and you place out a tile of the corresponding terrain. We're surrounded by mountains, so we have to take the topmost terrain tile here. and I'm going to be placing that. You'll see these arrows. You face those in the direction from where you're coming from. This is a flower. This is going to give us an extra will token, which is terrific. And you'll see a partial path there. That means we can't go that way. So I place it. I didn't really say a direction I was heading. I'm going to head down in this direction. So I face that. She enters and she gets a will token. You can go above your starting will. Okay? So that was her first movement point. For our next movement point, I'm going to go here, which is a plane. All right. Here we've got a piece of equipment and an herbivorous creature that we're going to have to face. Whenever you face a creature or an adventure, your movement immediately ends. So after this encounter, our turn is basically going to end. If I'm able to repel or defeat this creature, then I can pick up the equipment, but you can't pick up equipment or time machine parts if there's anything on that tile. All right, so this gets placed like this. Move here, I'm going to take one of these for my equipment crates, and I draw the top card from the herbivorous creature. All right, this is the, and I'm going to butcher the names more than likely, Corythoris. All right. Draw 2 more cards. Suffer 1 wound for every other Corythoris you draw, as you are surprised by another member of its herd and injured. Afterwards, discard all 3. Well, this is different. Normally, they're going to have stats here. This is a different creature, so I'm going to draw 2 and hope I don't find any more Corythoris cards. All right. 1 Iguanodon, that's good, and 2 another Iguanodon. Okay, so those did not hurt me. That's wonderful. Those get discarded. All right. And my movement ends, but I can collect this because there's nothing else on that tile. So I get an equipment card, which is an ammo case. Oh, I actually needed to put 3 ammo on my machine gun. This is actually nice. I discard this card to restore all the ammo tokens to an equipment card. So when I use up the 3 from that machine gun, I can reload it, so to speak. All right. That was her turn. Now we go to the paleontologist. She's actually got 4 movement because of her hiking boots. Let's head off in this direction. All right. We'll take the... Okay. Here we've got an adventure. All right. So I'm going to place this here. Take the corresponding card, and this is going to end her turn as well. When you get one of these cards, you have to make sure that the terrain types on the bottom match what you're going into. In this case, we are going to mountain. This actually is for all of them, so this will work. Roll a die for each will token you currently have. You can't spend will tokens. If you roll at least 1, 4, 5, or 6, no serious damage occurs and you climb back out. Otherwise, you crush a large egg in your fall and add 2 paradox. Well, that's no good. I currently have 4 will tokens, so I'm going to be rolling 4 dice, and I'm hoping that on one of those 4 dice, I get a 4, 5, or a 6. Well, let's hope. Here we go. We've got 4 dice. I rolled 2 5s, so I'm good to go. No problems there. But my turn ends. Okay, now it is our first paradox turn. What we do is we roll 2 dice on every paradox turn, 1 red, and the only red, and 1 of the white die. All right, we got a 3 and a 6. So on the paradox turn, what we're going to do, I want to make sure I get the order correctly on this, is we generate paradox. If either of these numbers corresponds to an open rift, then you add a paradox. Well, unfortunately for us, the only open rift right now is 3, and I rolled a 3. So I have to put myself onto the second piece of, or second on the paradox tracker, okay? The next thing we do is movement. Any items on the activity track are going to move corresponding to the tile that they're on. Well, the woolly mammoth is on an unexplored tile, and so they're considered to be out of phase. In that case, when something is out of phase, you look up here. This is the flying and out of phase movement. A 3 corresponds to the upper left, so woolly mammoth is going to move 1 space there. Next thing we do is we add these two numbers together, which in this case is 9. If your temporal instability, which is tracked along here, in this green area it's 5, in the orange area it's 6, and in the red area it's 7. If these, the addition of these two numbers, the sum, is equal to or less than your temporal instability, you have to open a rift. Luckily for us, we're at a 5, we rolled a 9, so nothing else happens. Okay, player turn. All right, our soldier has got 4 movement points. Let's head towards the swamp. It can be a little dangerous. We'll go up here. It can be a little dangerous, but your potential to find some time machine parts, which is really what it's all about. All right. We got a pretty closed off path here. We've got an adventure and we've got a equipment. Unfortunately, we're not getting much movement because we keep running into encounters here. All right. So we're going to go like this. We're going to put an equipment crate on there. And we're going to find a card with the swamp at the bottom, which we have here. This card will work. All right, the Ring of Fire. Pass a will 4 check to puzzle out a way to escape from the flames because there is a tree that was struck by lightning, exploding and sending burning shrapnel. Or else, suffer a wound and check again. You have to continue this until you either pass the will check or are knocked out. All right, so I've got to pass a will 4 check. And so the way I do that is I compare my will, which unfortunately is only a 2. And the way this works is you take the number of dice corresponding to your will level. So I'm going to be rolling 2 dice for me. I'm going to be rolling 4 on the check. Successes are 4s, 5s, and 6. And 6s. A 6 is an exploding die, and so that could potentially lead you roll an extra die every time you do that. So I'm looking for successes for me and failures for this Ring of Fire. So these are my 2 dice, and I got 2 failures. Not good. Now I have to roll 4 dice. If I can somehow roll 1s, 2s, 3s on this, then I'm okay. But it's not likely. And I didn't. I rolled 2 successes. I could roll that again, but well, actually, I think I'm going to roll that again so that I know exactly how many successes. Okay, 2 successes. All right, I have 0 successes. Now, I've got a couple of options. I can spend will tokens, of which I currently have 3, to roll an extra die. I have no successes at this point. So my question is, do I want to spend these to get extra dice, or do I want to take the wound and try again? I think I'm going to take the wound. I'm going to try again. All right, I'm going to roll 2 and hope I do a little better this time. Even 1 success would be nice. I got 2 successes. Okay, so that's good. All right, now I'm rolling the 4 and only 1. Okay, so I succeeded in that. This gets discarded. I did take a wound. Actually, I should be here. And since I completed that, I'm going to go ahead and take the equipment, which is a grenade. I can discard this card to get a +5 to a single brawn check during combat. That's a very powerful potential weapon for me. All right. Her turn is over. Now we go to the paleontologist. Let's go into the swamp here. No, I'm sorry, the plains. All right. She's got a flower, which is great. She'll get a will token. That's a one-time use. If you come back onto that explored area, same thing with any of these explored tiles. You don't experience those things. You don't have to fight the monsters or what have you, unless there's a monster standee that's there, okay? So that was her first movement point out of 4. Let's go here. Okay, this is a blank tile. So that's 2 movements. I can either go towards the water or towards the jungle. Water can be dangerous. You've got aquatic creatures. Jungle can be dangerous. You've got carnivorous creatures or herbivorous creatures. I think we'll go towards the jungle. All right. We got another partial path, as it's called. All right. All right, so we've gone 1, 2, 3. We've got one more movement because of our hiking boots. Let's go here. And we've got a herbivorous creature that we're going to face. All right, so let's move there and let's see who we've got. We've got another Corythosaurus. Luckily, we didn't have to face this last time because it would have given us one of the wounds. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to draw 2 cards, hope to not find any more of those. It is not on the first one, and it is not on the second one. So all of these are going to get discarded. Discarded cards can eventually come back, and they might be things that we have to face again. Killed dinosaurs get turned face down, and they're separate from the discard pile, and those you don't potentially have to face again. My phone keeps slipping. I'm going to move it up just a little bit. I want you to get more of the board there. Okay, here's our paradox turn. Let's go ahead and roll the 2 dice. 1 and a 3. Boy, I keep rolling that 3. I have to move up my paradox. Now the movement is 1. We only have 1 creature, person or thing on the activity track. We look at the out of phase movement. It's going to move down here. If it were to roll a 2 next turn, it would go back into its time rift that it came out of, and it would go away, and the paradox would actually go down 1, so that would be nice. Unfortunately, no. We rolled a 4, which is less than our current temporal instability of 5, so our paradox goes up 1. All right, here we go, back to our soldier. I'm kind of hemmed in here. I have no choice but to either go back to the plains tile here or to go to the swamp. I think I'll go ahead and go down to the swamp. I've got only 3 movement. Okay, we've got a flower here, which is great. I'll take a will token. She's got a lot of will to spend. I can only go here or go back, so I won't backtrack. I'll go to the plains. I'm still hoping to find a time machine piece at some point. Still no dice. All right, so we'll go here, and we've got an herbivorous creature we're going to have to face. That ends our turn. Okay, so here we go. The iguanodon. First thing we have to look at here, well, we'll just look at the stats. It's got a brawn of 3 and a speed of 5. When creatures have specific traits, they're going to be put here. The first thing we look at is this passive 4+. I'm going to roll a die. If I roll a 4, 5, or 6, this creature is not interested in us and just goes away. It goes to the discard pile. If not, we're going to have to deal with this pack 3, which is not pleasant, that I'll explain to you in a moment. So I'm going to hope to roll a 4, 5, or 6. And I rolled a 3, so no such luck. Okay, so in a pack, what's going to happen is you're going to draw 3 cards, in this case because it's pack 3. Any iguanodons that come out are going to be placed behind this. It's going to add for each card to its brawn, and if you kill it, it's going to add that many more paradox. If you kill a dinosaur, you add 2 paradox to your tracker, and if you've got a pack of maybe 2 more, you're going to add 2 more to that, so it would be 4 total, potentially 5. Okay, so here I'm going to draw my 3. Hope to not get any more iguanodons. No on the first. No on the second. No on the third. I lucked out there, so I don't have to worry about its pack. Now I've got some options. 3 options, okay? I can either repel because I've got an equipment card with the repel trait. Otherwise, I couldn't choose that. I could fight it, or I could try to flee. If you try to flee, you do a speed check. This iguanodon is very fast. It's got a 5. I've got a 3, okay? The disadvantage to fighting is that you add 2 to the paradox, and not only does that take you closer to the end game, a loss, every time you pass one of these symbols, you're going to open another time rift, okay? So I'm 3 paradox away from opening another time rift, and I don't particularly want to do that. So I'm considering repelling the creature, attempting to repel the creature, all right? Or driving it off, basically. And so to do that, you have to spend a will token to aim for a non-vital part of the creature, and then you do a brawn check, okay? I've got a 5 brawn, Actually, I've got a 7 brawn because if I use this machine gun to repel it, it's going to give me a +2 to its 3. So I think that's a pretty good bet. So what I'll do is I'll spend my will token. I'm going to spend one of my ammo tokens, and I'm going to attempt to drive this off. So I'm going to be rolling 5 on my base, +2 from a machine gun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The iguanodon is going to be rolling 3, and so here we go. Okay, so this is a pretty good roll. I've got 4 successes, and I'm going to roll another one because that's exploding. Okay, so I got 4 successes. It is only rolling 3. Now, I still have to roll them because if they get exploding dice, I'm in, you know, that could make a difference. All right. It got 1 success, but I get to roll again. Okay, so only 1 success. I was able to hit that in a non-lethal area, and it's going to now get discarded. It's not killed, so no paradox is added. Okay, but it also doesn't enter the board. My turn ends because I encountered a creature. Now we go to the paleontologist. It's got 4 movements because of the hiking boots. I would love to get some time machine parts. I'm going to head up this way and maybe start heading towards the water. Although I'm a little concerned because she doesn't have a very strong brawn capability, but you don't win if you don't encounter. Okay, this is a partial path. That's 1 movement point. Now we're going into the water for the first time. And we've got an aquatic creature and a time machine part. So that's potentially good. Potentially. I'm going to place a time machine marker on there. I'm going to move her there, and let's face our first aquatic creature. It's a pteranodon, okay? It's a pack 2, and it's got the flying trait. It's very quick, not too much of a pushover either. So let's see what we got. First thing we have to do is draw 2 cards and hope we don't get any more pteranodons. Not there. And not there, thankfully. Okay. So now, I'm going to double check the flying trait, make sure that it doesn't do anything that I need to deal with right away. It's just going to be when moving. Okay, so when moving, this ignores any of these paths. It can just fly wherever it wants to. All right, so now I've got an option. Do I want to flee or do I want to fight? Because I don't have a repel option here. That does me nothing. So it's a 3 versus 4. I think I want to fight it so that I can pick up that time machine part. I would be adding 2 paradox, but I'm going to give it a shot. I actually can first. I almost forgot her. Ability. When she encounters a creature without the passive ability, I roll a die and I get to discard this if I get a 6. So let's hope for a 6 because that would be terrific. And I got a 1. What's the opposite of 6 on this die? A 1. All right. So I'm going to roll my 3. Okay. Oops, let me try that again. Okay, I got 2 successes with a 6, so I get to roll again. All right, 2 successes. It's going to be rolling 4. I only have to equal. I don't have to beat. It got 1 success, but a 6. And a 3. So that's good. I defeated the pteranodon. This is going to go face down, so it's not going to be in the same pile. I will not face that again. I add 2 paradox to the tracker, so I'm a little close to opening a rift. However, my turn is ending, so there's no other creature on that tile. I can pick up 1 of 6 that I need. Okay? I have to take that back to the volcano to be able to place it on our board. All right? End of that turn, let's go to the paradox turn. We roll our 2 dice. Hey, for once, I didn't roll a 3, so that's nice. We look to the red die. We still only have 1 creature. He's out of phase. So we look at our movement. I would have loved for it to have been a 2. That would have been terrific, but it's not. It's a 5. So the woolly mammoth moves there. 9 is more. We're now into the 6 temporal instability. So it gets a little bit easier to open rifts. Luckily, we're above that. So nothing of too much consequence happened on that particular paradox turn. All right, let's go to our soldier. All right. Hopefully our soldier can find herself a time machine part. Let's go down in this direction to the plains. We got a flower, which is great. She is picking up a whole lot of will. All right. Which, as you can see, is important. Okay. We'll go into the... I guess we'll go into the swamp. Swamp can be dangerous. This particular one is not. All right, so we've gone one movement, if I remember correctly. Yes, because we ended there. One movement, two movements. I've still got one more movement, and I will head, because I have really only one option, up here into this plain space, and I've got an adventure. All right, it's got to have the plains icon on the bottom. If it doesn't, we discard it and try again. It does. Quicksand. As you continue to your hunt, the ground suddenly gives way beneath your feet and you find yourself falling into quicksand. So we've got a will 4 check to escape. Otherwise, we have to place it next to our hero sheet and we must stay on the space until either another hero enters or you pass a will check at the start of your turn. That's not terrific. All right, so we've got a will 4 check. We keep doing these will checks and her will is not great. She's got a will of 2. All right, so this is similar to our last adventure check. Let's roll. Okay, that's great. We got 2 hits and a 6. I lucked out there. Oh, that's great. 3 successes and another explosion. All right, so three successes. That's not bad. So here comes my 4. Here's the quicksand's turn. 1 success, but it's a 6. And that's great. Okay, so I was able to complete that. This gets discarded. All right. Paleontologist, I think we're going to head back to the, she's got 4 movements, 1, 2, 3, 4. She can get back, 1, 2. She could try to explore this one first and then go, let's take a risk. 1, 2, we'll do this. And we are going to have to face something. So we can't do it this turn, but there's 2 potentially equipment crates there, which is great. Okay, so she goes here. We'll put the 2 crates there, and she's going to face an herbivorous, yes, an herbivorous creature. What do we got? We got a Triceratops, which is a passive 5+ and a pack 3. Again, her ability is she adds 1 to any passive check. So in her case, if she rolls normally she'd have to roll a 5 or a 6 to avoid this creature. In her case, she can roll a 4, 5, or 6. Let's see if that plays in. It does not. It's a 2. So this is a pack 3, so I'm going to draw 3 cards and hope I don't see any more Triceratops. 1, no. 2, no. 3, no. I've gotten very lucky there. In my last game, I was pulling pack creatures left and right. Okay, but the Triceratops is tough. It's a 6 brawn. 6 brawn, and it's fast. 5 speed. Whew, I can't repel this creature. And I am in a place where potentially if I try to run away and I roll a 3, which is blocked, I would be trapped by the creature and would have to face it again. I think I'm going to use potentially some of these will tokens and just, boy, I really don't want to fight. If I fight and kill it, I open up a rift. All right. I think I'm going to try to run. My speed is a 3, and my brawn is a 3. So really, it's kind of the same thing. All right. Okay, so I'm going to be rolling 3 dice. The Triceratops is going to be rolling 5. Here's my 3. Ouch! Look at that. Not 1 success. Triceratops is rolling 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. They rolled 3 successes. So, do I want to spend that many will? Probably not. So I'm going to suffer a wound. All right. And I'm going to try again. Okay, so my speed is 3. Okay, I got 2 successes there with a 6. 2 successes, and they're rolling 5. 2 successes, but if this is a fail, then I'm okay. It's not, so I'm going to spend a will token, and I've got to get, I'm rolling an extra dice for myself. I have 2 successes, and there's my third. So I'm able to run away, and here is what happens here. I'm going to roll a die, and I'm going to really hope I don't roll a 5. Is it a 5? No, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, okay. No, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. Okay, so I roll a 5. I'm going to go in that direction because you look at the tile and you move where that goes. Now, this creature, the Triceratops, is going to go on the activity track. I take a standee that corresponds to the herbivorous creatures right here. And it's going to be on this tile now. All right. And I take the 1 token that corresponds with that, just so I know which is which. The Triceratops is my number 1 herbivorous creature. And now during the movement phase, if it rolls a 5, or if my red die is a 5, it's going to come up and I'm going to have to face it again at the beginning of my next turn. All right, so I took a risk and that's what happened. So now we're going to do the paradox turn. Luckily it was not a 5. A 3 and a 6. I have 1 open rift and I've rolled it 3 times, I think. So that adds a paradox. I've crossed that. I immediately now have to open another time rift. I take one of these face down tokens, flip it up. Time rift 1 is now open. All right. I go to the castaways deck here, and it looks like Jerry has zapped through into this world. When you help Jerry through his rift, you gain an equipment card. Okay. This is basically his trust check. If you want to gain his trust to have him follow you, you'll have to use a will check against Jerry, and he's going to be moving down to the left 2, but he can only move 1. He can't. Oh no, he can move there. That's where he's going to show up. All right. So there's Jerry. He comes out of Rift 1. So we put him where he belongs, and we get the Rift 1 marker and place it on his card because he's going to potentially move too. All right. So here we go. That was the first thing we did. Now we do our movement. We go from left to right on the activity track. The woolly mammoth is still out of phase. He's going to move this way. All right. The Triceratops is going to move. The 6 on his tile is going to move that way. All right. And Jerry is out of phase. He cannot move this way, which is what the out of phase movement tells him to do. So he stays right where he's at. 6 and 3 is 9, which is more than our current temporal instability. So thankfully, we're not opening yet another time rift. Okay. All right. Moving on. The soldier is going to, can try to get over to Jerry. Unfortunately, her will is not great, but I think, and it doesn't do much to put him back because you can never go past, you can't go back across a time rift spot. So if it was up here, it would make sense to take him back because you can move back, but where it's at now, couldn't go any further back. So I think I'm going to keep exploring with our soldier. Let's go down, or let's go up here, this swamp piece, okay? Partial path, that's 1 movement. We'll go here. We've got our first carnivorous creature and an equipment. Put the equipment there. Let's see what carnivorous creature we're going to face. We've got an Oviraptor, all right? Brawn of 4, speed of 5. Do we try to repel this bad boy? Or do we just try to kill it? I'm a little worried about going crazy with our paradox. But I think at this point, we are going to just try to do a straight combat. I'm not going to use my machine gun. I'm just going to do a straight combat. I'm going to try to kill it. I'm going to be rolling 5 die to the Oviraptor's 4. All right. I want to save my machine gun. Here's my roll. Okay, I got 3 successes with a 6. That's 4 successes, okay? So I got 4 successes, and now we roll 4 for the Oviraptor. It got 1 success, but it was a 6. So 1 success, so that was not trouble. Oviraptor is now dead. It's out of the game, so it's going to go face down. But I do have to add 2 to my Paradox. I can now pick up this equipment, and let's see what I get. A pistol. Well, she's certainly well armed. This is going to have +1 to brawn. It also has the repel, and it has 4 ammo. Now, if I can ever get these characters on the same space, I can trade equipment freely. And that might be something I do at some point. All right, so I'm going to put that in my equipment, which is probably off camera, but if I use it, I'll make sure to show it again. I'll put the 4 ammo tokens on there. That's the end of her turn. We go to the paleontologist. My thought is to come back to this tile, pick up those 2 pieces of equipment, get to the volcano and drop off our... I should have explored there because I moved on to an unexplored spot. I think I made an error there. So I did make an error there. So this is what's going to happen. It's not an error that can't be fixed. That's going to go there. I can't just go running on doing what I wanted to because when I came here, I encountered a carnivorous creature. So now this would have been at the beginning of my turn anyway, so it really wouldn't have changed anything at all. This is the beginning of my turn. Now I encounter that herbivorous creature that I ran into when I ran away from this herbivorous creature, all right? So I've got a Pteranodon, which is a pack 2, and it's flying. I'm going to use her ability and hope that I can roll a 6 here so that I can just avoid this creature. I did. Look at that. Fantastic. So this just gets discarded, but it's going to be face up discard. So I might face that creature again later on, but I can now get this equipment. That turned out pretty well. Great. I got it a pistol because she's actually going to probably need a little bit of artillery in her arsenal here. So we'll put the 4 ammo on that. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And now we'll move here. We'll pick up both of those pieces of equipment. 1 and 2. We'll take a look at what we get here. Well, now she's getting pretty... She's got an elephant gun, which has 2 ammo, has the repel, and adds 3 to her brawn. That's terrific. And an ammo case. That works very well for her. All right, so we'll do that. We'll do that. Let me put the 2 ammo on there. That was her second movement. Now we come here. On the volcano space, you do a couple of things. Number 1 is you remove any wound tokens. You go into the, I think it says Professor's Rejuvenation Tank. So you remove any wounds from you. You go up to your will if you have less. I actually have my will, so I don't have to replenish, but I would if I did otherwise. And any time machine tokens you have can now be placed onto the board. So 1 of 6, or 1/6 of the way there. All right. I'm going to go ahead and do the Paradox turn now. Here we go. Here we go. A 2 and a 5. Thankfully, those rifts are not open. 1 and 3 is open. So we do our movement now. We look at the red die and we start from the left. We got the woolly mammoth. He's going to be moving 2. He's out of phase, so he moves that way. Now we go to the Triceratops. It is out of phase, so it's going to go that way. It's coming closer here. And now we look at Jerry. He's out of phase. He can't move that way. Jerry's just sticking right where he's at. We rolled a 7, thankfully just above our current temporal instability, and so we don't have to open another time rift, thankfully. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video here. I think this is a good place to take a break, and we'll come back at this. This is a long enough game that I think I'm going to want to do this in parts. So we'll stop at this point, and this will be part 1.